If you've built enough LEGO sets, you may have come across something a little off in your instruction booklet. There you are, building along with the instructions when suddenly you turn the page and something catches your eye. Something's wrong. That piece that you just placed is missing from the image you're looking at. Did you mess up? Are the steps out of order? What is going on here? These disappearing bricks, or ghost bricks as they're occasionally called, are surprisingly common in LEGO sets, and today I'm going to go over some of the most extreme and confusing examples and try to explain just what's happening here. Are these simply digital rendering errors, or does LEGO do this on purpose sometimes? Let's find out. As a great example of what I'm talking about, a fan named Nathan sent in some images from their copy of the Treasure Hunt set from the Jurassic World line. Starting on step 47, you'll build two small side view mirrors and attach them to the sides of the Jeep. These stay put during the next step, but then, as soon as you turn the page, they mysteriously disappear from the image in both steps 49 and 50, only to reappear just as magically on the very next step, where they remain for the rest of the build. This error is pretty easily missed, and most builders of this set probably glossed right over it as they were more focused on the next step, but not all of them are this subtle. Another ghost brick can be spotted in the instructions for the Mandalorian's N1 Starfighter, as submitted by a fan going by the new Fruiz. On step 9, you'll need to add a single brown 1x2 wall element before moving on. This piece stays perfectly still for the next several pages, until on step 16, it simply vanishes before popping back into existence on the next step. Something similar was noticed by a fan named Joey while they were building the Space Roller Coaster set, initially released in 2023. Fairly far into the build, on step 169, there's a very small sub-build. The first thing we need to do is to put a round 2x2 plate on the back of a round 2x2 brick. Simple stuff. Next, we're told to flip these upside down and insert a yellow Technic axle. However, if you look closely at the bottom, you'll notice that the round plate has gone missing. It stays hidden for steps 3 and 4, before reappearing at step 5. In a similar vein, this submission from Ethan points out a small error in the Captain Rex Y-Wing microfighter. Very early on in the build on step 4, we'll need to place a single 1x2 transparent blue brick. You can even see it up front in the images of the finished build. For the next few pages, everything is normal, until at step 8, this piece randomly vanishes before reappearing just as suddenly on the next page. It's a real mystery as to why this piece disappears, but that's not all, because a slightly different kind of mistake was found in the Ice Castle set. Beginning on step 42, you'll begin construction of the brewing stand. This is a pretty straightforward assembly that covers the next 2 pages, before finishing by adding 3 of these T-pieces, before setting the build aside for a bit. For the next 20 pages, this assembly is ignored, until at step number 67, it's time to add it to the main build. However, it seems as though there's a bit of miscommunication going on here, as the small box showing off the sub-build is conspicuously lacking the T-pieces added earlier. A big shout out to Cody for sending this one in, and if you've ever spotted a mistake in a LEGO set, send me a few HD images along with the set's name and a brief description to videos@SpitBrix.com, and I may feature you in a future video. Now, sometimes mistakes only appear in a specific form of instructions. After all, LEGO offers instructions for almost all of its sets as a physical paper copy and as a free PDF download from their website. Additionally though, the LEGO Builder app has digital instructions for thousands of sets at your fingertips, again for free. I'll show you a particularly interesting error found in the app later in this video, but first, you need to see the drastic error in the Malfoy Manor set, which was identified by a viewer named Jesse. Jesse sent in multiple images of their copy of the instructions. On step 148, we can see that we need to add 2 of these modified 1x2 plates to the window on the right. But when we turn the page, there are suddenly several missing pieces. Aside from the modified plates, we've also lost 5 1x2 jumper plates and a pair of headlight bricks with some sand green tiles attached. What's even weirder though, is that now we're being told to attach 2 new sub-builds to nothing. It seems that this error specifically affected at least one full run of paper instructions for this set. However, this mistake was caught by LEGO at some point, because if you check the online instructions, you'll notice that this step now shows all of the blocks that it's supposed to. You see, oftentimes mistakes in paper instructions are corrected in later runs, or at least for the digital PDFs, but that's not always the case, and that's exactly what we can see in this submission from Hudson. In the third booklet for 2023's Ski and Climbing Center set, we get more than just a missing brick. We see an entire missing sub-build. Starting on step 345, we'll build the final floor of the climbing wall. This starts with simply adding these two elements before turning the page. Here, we need to build a small window before snapping it neatly into place. Well, once we flip over, the whole section that we just added is missing. As you can probably guess though, it reappears on the very next page and stays put for the rest of the build. Considering that LEGO has almost always had a very high reputation for quality control, these sorts of instruction mistakes are always a little surprising to find. But LEGO does often take steps to fix them when they notice, and that seems to be the case with this next submission from a fan named Oscar. While building the stable Dream Creatures set using the LEGO Builder app's instructions, they noticed an extremely subtle error. Fairly early on in the build, you'll need to put together this section of the attic. If you look very closely underneath the green 1x1 clips, you'll notice that the bricks that were there a moment ago have gone missing, leaving nothing to actually place these blocks onto. Unlike most of the other mistakes in this video, LEGO seems to have fixed this one across every type of instruction. This doesn't appear in the paper version or the online PDF, and when I checked the LEGO Builder app, the mistake was also fixed. It seems that this was just an error on the app, and LEGO is able to make adjustments to the app's instructions far more quickly than an online PDF or paper instructions, which actually means that Oscar here was extremely lucky to find this error. Now, while everything I've discussed so far has focused on bricks disappearing, sometimes ghost bricks simply pop into existence out of nowhere, and that's exactly what a viewer named Logan spotted. Let me show you, but first take 2 seconds to tap the like button below if you're enjoying this video. The large creative brick box is exactly as the name suggests, a large box of 790 bricks for you to get creative with. While most people buying these sets are typically just looking to pick up a bunch of bricks on a budget, these sets do typically include several small instruction booklets to get those creative juices flowing. This particular box came with instructions for 9 small builds, and the issue we're looking at can be found in the instructions for the small pink house. Overall, this is a very simple build with only 20 steps, but that actually makes the mistake stand out so much more. As we reach the end of the build, step 18 tells us to add 2 small bricks at the top of the house, but that's not the issue. Instead, take a look at the window. Specifically, notice that underneath the window is nothing but a pink brick sticking out. Turning the page to step 19, we're told to set down 3 2x2 green tiles and nothing more. But take a look at the window. It seems that 4 flowers have grown out of nowhere. At no point in the instructions are these flowers mentioned, and they stick around until the end of the build. On a positive note, these pieces are at least included in the package, so you don't have to worry about that. The exact opposite kind of error was spotted in the ice cream truck police chase by a fan named Renoir. On page 13 of the first instruction booklet, you'll need to build the ATM that the thieves are attempting to rob. On step 7, you're told to put the money in the box and close it up. Step 8 then tells you to grab a single 2x2 white plate, but the image just shows the same open box without any new white parts added. So where does it go? Luckily, the answer can be spotted on the very next page. Barely. Step number 9 shows that you'll need a light green 1x2 and a dark green 1x2 with clip, and tells you to put these on top of the now closed box. If you squint your eyes and look very carefully, you can see that the side of the white 2x2 from the previous step is underneath these 2 bricks. By the time we get to the image of the completed assembly, the piece is completely hidden. Now, the build can be finished without this particular element, but there will be a small gap near the top of the ATM. With all this being said though, it does raise one big question. Is it possible that some of these weird steps are not actually mistakes, but rather strategic choices to help builders? To illustrate what I mean, you need to take a look at this submission from Brendan, which I find quite interesting. He found it in the AT-AT driver helmet set. Take a look at the large black tile in step 107 that disappears in step 108. It could be argued that in this set, the bricks that disappear actually make it easier to align the next set of bricks that need to be placed. The builder can align the studs of the gray piece with the tan round 2x2 plate. Of course, this beneficial effect may have actually just happened by sheer coincidence, if this in fact is just another random, unexpected error. But regardless, it is an interesting hypothesis to ponder. Would LEGO choose to make some bricks invisible for a step or two if it meant making the building process more clear? Personally, I think that these are just random mistakes, at least for the vast majority of them. Thankfully, while these are errors with the content of LEGO instructions, none of them actually prevent you from finishing the build. However, sometimes the physical paper booklets can come with some pretty wild mistakes, which can make completing your set nearly impossible. Let me share one of the most extreme examples that I've seen. This one was sent in by Chase, who was nearly left unable to complete their copy of Jango Fett's starship. Deep into the set's second booklet, they finished step 694, only to see that the next page jumped straight to step 730. This massive step jump was then followed by 10 more pages, going from step 730 to 767, before starting over again at step 730. The missing pages were nowhere to be found, and if it weren't for LEGO's online instructions, Chase would have had to wait for a new copy to be sent through the mail from LEGO. I mean, his instruction booklet was literally missing over 30 steps, which would have made it very difficult to even complete the build. But you see, there are in fact a lot of other types of errors in LEGO sets that are identified by builders. To see them, click on this video right now. Also, be sure to click subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss my next video coming very soon.